Is Abdullah Mason the next big thing? Is he the best prospect out right now? I think he's one of the best. I'm not sure if he's the best. I really like Sander Sayas from Puerto Rico at middleweight. They're about the same age. I think Sander's about 1 year older. But I like Mason a lot. The thing is about him is that we yet don't know how good he actually is. But there's certain things that does give us a little bit of insight. There's certain things that he does that actually somebody like Shakur Stevenson can learn from. But before we go into this, let's talk about his last fight with Luis Lebron. Okay. Abdullah Mason came into this fight with a record of 13 wins and 0 losses. 11 of those wins came by way of knockout. On the other hand, that Luis Lebron, who is 10 years older than Mason being 20, came into this fight with a record of 20 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw. 13 of those wins were by way of knockout. So everybody thought that Abdullah Mason definitely had a power advantage. Him having a 85% knockout ratio versus Luis Lebron, not the basketball player. I'm talking about Luis Lebron, the Puerto Rican boxer. Came into this fight with a 65% knockout ratio. But what was more troublesome and obvious in the fight was the speed advantage. At first, in the first round, Abdullah Mason was a little cautious. He was fighting more off his back foot. He was using his jab a lot and changing levels very well. He was going to the body with jab, going upstairs, going downstairs, really keeping Luis Lebron at bay. Luis Lebron was forced to come forward very cautiously, but in the process was getting picked apart. In the second round, Abdullah Mason began to turn his left hand, which is his power hand, and started using it not only as a straight left hand, but also as an uppercut. And this became a problem for LeBron because not only was he dealing with a guy that's just way faster than him, he's very tricky, very hard to predict because he's never coming at you at the same level with the same punches. He's always switching it up. He's going jab to the body, jab upstairs, left hand down the middle, uppercut. And that just became too much for him, and you would see Luis Lebron slowly fall apart. Well, not slowly because it's only the second round and you would see his face bloodied. Shortly after that, Luis Lebron got dropped in the second round. And he just never recuperated. Then he got dropped again. And you would see the dialogue with him and the referee. And you can see in his face that he probably did not want to be in there. But in that dialogue with the referee was talking to him in English, and I could see in his face also that he probably didn't have very good English to communicate with the referee. He is from Puerto Rico, and he just looked confused. So in that moment, I'm just highlighting that because he might have looked more hurt than he actually was because he started walking one direction, and I think that probably was just a misunderstanding of what's going on, and in the heat of the moment there was a little bit of confusion. But none of this really matters because he was hurt. He never really recuperated, and on the third round he got finished. I mean, he had been hurt to the body. He had been hurt everywhere. On the third round, Abdullah Mason just stepped on the gas and got him out of there. Abdullah Mason ended up winning by TKO. So, going back to what I said in the beginning, and this is the difference between him and Shakur Stevenson. Mind you, these are both very talented boxers with different styles and different capabilities. Abdullah Mason obviously is blessed with power. Not everybody has that. We don't need to fault Shakur Stevenson for not necessarily being the hardest puncher. That's just not him. He's more of a pure boxer. But what we can criticize with Shakur Stevenson is something that Abdullah Mason already understands at 20 years old. Is that when you have an opponent that everybody expects for you to win, and mind you, Luis Lebron doesn't have a horrible record. Again, he came in this fight with a record of 20 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw, which is not great, but it's not horrible, especially if you're fighting a young guy. And this young guy is only on his 14th fight. So you got a way more experienced guy, a little older, not old. He's 30. It's not old. Has a little more mileage, but not an old guy. But this was a B side fight. Okay, everybody expected the young prospect to win this fight, and Abdullah Mason knew this. So Abdullah Mason, the other choice he has to work with what is given to him. He doesn't really have full choice on the opponents that are given to him. That's up to the matchmakers, the promoters, for the most part. At least at this stage of his career. But what he can do is push the envelope. Really try to give a show. Really try to showcase his skills with whatever is given to him. And with this comes taking chances. Like if he wanted to take this guy out in the third round because he wanted to show that this guy did not belong in the ring with him, he is gonna have to take some chances. And he did. And he got hit a couple times. He got clipped a couple times. Never hurt, but he got hit. But in the end, he ended up finishing the fight in his third round, which is what should be expected when you're given an opponent that you are supposed to win. Shakur Stevenson was minus 2,500 against Artem, and he went the distance, and that's the problem. Really, he should have gotten Artem out of there, much like a lot of his previous opponents. And it's not because he can't do it, and I don't even buy this notion that Shakur Stevenson doesn't have any power. I just don't see him stepping on the gas and really sitting down on his punches. I fully think he has the ability to do it. It's just his way of fighting, his temperament, his style. It's more defense oriented. He's more cautious. He's more about not getting hit than he is about, I want to get this guy out of here. And that's just not what most fans want to see, at least not the casual fans. And you can hate on the casual fans, but the industry is built on the casual fans. It's built on the people that just happened to tune in that night. and you put on a good fight, and they liked it, and now they remember Shakur Stevenson. Next time he fights, I want to see him because I just saw him last Saturday, and that was amazing. But this is something that the young prospect Abdullah Mason understands. He understands where he's at in his career. He understands the type of opponents that are giving to him. I think it is time to raise the competition a little bit. I understand that Luis Lebron, is not a bad opponent for this stage of his career, and he was coming off a 2-win streak. But before that, he had 3 losses, and he was fighting maybe once a year. So he wasn't super active. He's 30. He was really just an opponent for Abdullah Mason. Let's not get lost here. He was an appropriate opponent for this stage in his career, but he was just an opponent. I do believe it's time to raise the level of competition for Abdullah Mason, to really see where his skills are at, though we do get glimpses of it, because again, he does step on the gas. He does begin to challenge himself if the challenge is not there with the fighter. He begins to see, well, how far can I push this? And he did, and it was an entertaining fight. It was a more entertaining fight than the main event. And it is for this reason that next time that Abdullah Mason fights, which is somebody that, to be fair, was not on my radar, next time that he fights, I'm gonna watch him, because now I am a fan. Now I am invested in his career, and I want to see how it develops. But again, I think it is time to raise the competition a little bit, not a whole lot, because to be fair, he doesn't really have a very deep amateur career. He went 26-2 in his amateur career, and now he has 14 fights, but he has already another fight scheduled for August 17th against Agustin Ezequiel Quintana, who will be coming to that fight with a record of 19-2-1. Again, not a no-name, but doesn't need to be yet. It is still early in his career. Abdullah Mason is clearly doing everything in his power to get his career off the ground, his level of activity, his style of fighting. I think he's on a great path, and I'm really excited to see where he goes with this. Anyways, that's all I have for today, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. See you next time.